At Thanksgiving dinner, my sister stood up and announced, "We took a vote and you're no longer family." Everyone clapped. I let out a quiet laugh and said, "Then I guess you won't be needing this." I placed a folder on the table, and the moment she opened it, she screamed. "Before we carve the turkey," Natalie said, rising from her chair with that smug, rehearsed smile of hers. "We have something to say." The room went silent. Forks froze midair. My stomach clenched. I knew that tone. It was the same tone she used to get me grounded at 14 for a party I didn't even attend. "We held a family vote," she continued, scanning the room like a pageant queen awaiting her crown. "And we've decided you're no longer family." Silence. Then applause. My cousin Laura clapped like she was at a concert. Uncle Mitch raised his wine glass for a toast. Even my mom, my own mom, giggled to Aunt Dashme and said, "Well, someone had to say it." I sat there, frozen, staring at my plate. The stuffing had gone cold, but the blood in my veins was boiling. My dad didn't even look at me, just took a sip of his beer and muttered, "Probably for the best." "Wow," I said, slowly pushing my chair back. "You guys must have rehearsed this." Natalie's grin widened. "You've been toxic for years. We just finally stopped pretending." "You're not family," my mom added, reaching for the cranberry sauce as if we were discussing the weather. "It was unanimous." I looked around. No one spoke up, not a single person. "Fine," I said quietly. Then I thought something like this might happen. I added, pulling a thick folder from my bag and placing it neatly in the center of the table. The sound it made, thud, cut through the laughter. Natalie blinked. "What's that?" I smiled, leaned back in my chair, and crossed my arms. "Why don't you find out?" She snatched the folder and tore it open. Her lips were already curling into that snide smirk she always wore when she thought she was winning. Then she flipped to the first page and froze. The smile vanished. Her face turned pale. Her eyes darted to the next page, then another, and then she screamed. She screamed like she was in a horror movie. Her chair clattered as she jumped up, slamming the folder down as if it had burned her hands. "You're a monster!" she shrieked. "You're a sick, twisted freak!" Gasps rippled around the table. Joel, her husband, grabbed the folder and opened it. His jaw dropped. "What is this?" I nodded. "It's all real," I said. "Every word, every receipt, every screenshot." A dead silence fell over the table. You could hear a fork clink in the kitchen. My mom's mouth opened, then closed, like a fish gasping for air. "You were so sure I wouldn't fight back," I said, slowly standing. "So sure I'd stay the quiet doormat, the cash cow." But you know what? I leaned forward and looked Natalie straight in the eyes. "Your little show is over." "Want to know what was in the folder? I'll get to that. But first, let me tell you how we got here. Because Natalie didn't just wake up one morning thinking I wasn't family. That decision had been brewing for years. Brick by brick, comment by comment, betrayal by betrayal. I was never their favorite, not even close. Natalie was the star, the golden girl, good grades, big smile, could charm anyone. She could lie to your face and make you thank her for it. I, on the other hand, was quiet, reserved. I didn't need the spotlight, and they hated that. They took my silence for weakness. At 19, I moved out, paid for college myself, worked 2 jobs, never asked for help. Meanwhile, Natalie flunked out of 2 majors, went to Europe to find herself, came back, and married Joel, a guy who looked like a LinkedIn profile in a blazer. I paid for half their wedding. My parents couldn't afford it, but somehow, right after, they managed a 2-week cruise. I didn't complain. I never complained, even when they joked that I was the family accountant. I kept helping, paid for Dad's dental surgery, sent money when Mom said they couldn't afford heat, even covered part of Laura's tuition when she didn't get a scholarship. They always said, thanks, of course, but with a tone that said, well, of course you'll help. You don't have a family of your own. And maybe that's what sealed it. See, I'm single. No kids, no wife, no drama. Just me, my job, and my dog. And in their eyes, that meant I had nothing better to do than fund their problems. Natalie, especially, treated me like a backup plan. When Joel lost his job, she called me first. Just a small loan. When her car broke down. You make 6 figures, what's $2,000 to you? When her kid needed therapy and insurance wouldn't cover it, guess who she called? I always helped. Always. Because I told myself that's what family does. But help turned into obligation, then expectation, then entitlement. It started small. Little jabs at dinner. Oh, you brought wine. Must be nice to afford the good stuff. Of course you got here early. You don't have kids to deal with? I wish I could work late and avoid my husband. Then it got worse. You're so cold. Maybe that's why you're still alone? You don't understand real stress. You don't have a real life. You're just jealous that no one needs you. Except they did need me. Constantly, financially, quietly, behind closed doors. Then came the text from Natalie. Hey, can you co-sign a small business loan for us? Joel and I want to open a health cafe. I said no. Natalie replied, wow, seriously? And then silence. That was 3 months ago. After that, the cold shoulder started. Mom stopped calling. Dad sent one-word texts. I wasn't invited to the last family dinner. Natalie blocked me on social media after posting a story about cutting out toxic people. But I didn't sit around moping. Instead, I started gathering receipts. Literal receipts. I keep records. Bank transfers, emails, screenshots, dates. I'm not stupid. And in the last 5 years alone, I'd sent my family over $78,000. $8,000 for Joel's rehab. $2,300 for Natalie's emergency dental work, which turned out to be veneers she wanted. $1,500 for Dad's back surgery. $12,000 for Mom's credit card debt. $6,000 for Laura's college move-in. $4,500 for a family emergency that turned out to be a trip to Cabo. And not once, not a single time, did they offer to pay me back. They just took. And when I stopped giving, they decided I was the problem. So I put together the folder. Inside was proof of every transfer, every email and text asking for money. Screenshots of Natalie calling me a manipulative friend because I refused the loan. A timeline of every major payout over the last 5 years. And, as the cherry on top, copies of social media posts where they mocked me. I had screenshots of Natalie in a private comment thread she didn't know I had access to, calling me a spineless cash cow. So that's what she saw when she opened the folder. That's why she screamed. Because Natalie didn't just get exposed, she got dismantled, fact by fact, line by line, page by page, and the rest of the family realized what they'd done. Mom looked like she might faint. Joel stared at a line about a $200 charge on Natalie's credit card, used at a hotel in Santa Monica with someone named Alice, and he just said, "What is this?" I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Because for the first time, I wasn't justifying myself. I was just showing them the truth. "You kept records," Mom finally said, her voice shaking. "Of everything." I turned to her, calmer than I'd ever been. "You never remembered, so someone had to." Natalie was still standing, pale, fists clenched. Her eyes darted from Joel to me to the folder. "This is an invasion," she spat. "You had no right." "No right?" I said, slowly standing. You just stood in front of the whole family and announced I'm not family. You all clapped, and now you're upset that I came prepared." Joel flipped another page in the folder. "What's this about Santa Monica?" he asked, his voice tight. Natalie whipped around to him. "Don't start." "Who's Alice?" he pressed. "Why did you spend 3 nights in a hotel on my credit card?" Her silence was louder than any answer. "Wait," Mom interjected, raising her hands. "Let's all calm down and be reasonable." "Of course," I said. "Let's be reasonable. Let's talk about how you called me a parasite while cashing the check I sent you." She blinked. "That's not fair. We were stressed." "No," I cut her off. "You were stressed, and I bailed you out every time. And the one time I said no, I suddenly became the enemy." Dad, who'd been silent as a corpse until now, finally spoke. "You're making this bigger than it is." I turned to him, my voice quieter. "You let them treat me like this for years. You knew, you saw, you heard, and you let it happen because it was easier than stopping them." He didn't deny it. Natalie slammed her hand on the table. "You're just mad because you're not needed anymore." "Wrong," I said coldly. "I'm not mad, I'm done." She laughed bitterly. "You're pathetic. You know how dramatic this looks? Bringing a folder, printing screenshots? You think this makes you a victim? You're just proving you're a control freak." "And you're proving," I said, "that you didn't care about me as long as I paid your bills." "You can't play the martyr," she screamed. "You chose to help. No one forced you." "And yet," I said, stepping forward, "you somehow expected it every time until it wasn't help anymore. It became a debt. And when I stopped, you kicked me out." My voice cracked, not from sadness, but from rage. "You didn't need a brother. You needed a walking wallet." Joel stood, holding the folder. "Is this true?" he asked, looking at Natalie. "All of this?" Natalie looked at him, and for the first time, she had no answer. No fake tears, no deflections, just silence. "You lied to me," he said, "about the hotel, the money, about him. You made him out to be crazy." "I had to," she exploded. "He was turning everyone against me." "I didn't," I said. "You did that yourself." The room fell silent again. Then Mom leaned forward and tried one more time, softening her voice. "Listen, honey, maybe we went too far, but we're still family. Families fight. Let's put this behind us." I cut her off. "You're not hearing me." She blinked. "What?" "I'm not asking for peace. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm saying I'm done." Natalie snorted. "Stop acting like this is some grand moment. You've said this before." I looked her straight in the eyes. "Not like this." I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out another envelope. "What now?" Dad asked, clearly exhausted. I tossed the envelope onto the table. Joel caught it before it slid off. He opened it, read the first line. His eyes widened. "What is this?" he whispered. I answered for him. "Documents revoking power of attorney for Mom. Medical proxy canceled. Emergency contact removed. I already signed the papers. I'm no longer legally or emotionally responsible for any of you." Mom gasped. "You're completely cutting ties?" "Completely," I said. "Starting now." "You're selfish," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "We messed up, but we're still your family." I turned to her, my voice quiet again, final. "No, you're not." I grabbed my coat, gave them one last look, and walked out the door, leaving them stunned and silent in the middle of their Thanksgiving dinner, surrounded by cold food and bitter truth. I walked out and didn't look back. Not because it didn't hurt. It did. But as I closed the door behind me, stepped off their porch into the cold night air, I felt something shift inside me. For the first time in years, I could breathe. I didn't drive straight home. I turned toward the lake I used to go to as a kid, where Dad would take me fishing. I sat there in the silence, staring at the still water, and felt something I hadn't in a long time. Nothing was pulling me back. No guilt, no pressure. No one waiting for a check, a ride, or a favor. Just peace. The next morning, silence. The day after that, nothing. But on the third day, the messages started. First, Mom. A missed call, then another, then a voicemail. Are you serious? We got heated, but we're still your family. I didn't respond. Then a text from Natalie. You don't even realize what you've done. Joel's filing for divorce. Happy now? There's seriously something wrong with you. Then Dad. You went too far. We all said things we regret, but what you did was a nuclear strike. Your mom's a wreck. Come fix this. I didn't respond to any of them. Honestly, I thought I'd feel guilty. I thought I'd toss and turn at night, wondering if I'd gone too far. But instead, I slept better than I had in years. No more second-guessing every text, waiting for the next thing to blow up. No late-night payment app requests disguised as emergencies. For the first time in a decade, I could hear my own thoughts. I started waking up early, going for morning runs, brewing coffee slowly. I scheduled appointments I'd put off for years. Dentist, doctor, even a therapist. Not because I was broken, but because I could finally take care of myself. I rewrote my emergency contacts, removed my parents, changed my passwords, froze all joint accounts they had access to, blocked Natalie on every platform. This wasn't revenge anymore. It was closing a chapter. A week after Thanksgiving, Laura, my cousin who clapped when they kicked me out, messaged me. I didn't know you paid for my tuition. I'm sorry. I just went along with the crowd. You were always the one who actually helped. I didn't reply, but I reread it twice. Then another surprise. A message from Joel. I filed the papers. Everything in that folder checked out. She was cheating, lying, manipulating. Not just you, me too. He added, You did the right thing. I should have left sooner. I didn't expect that, but it hit me. A few days later, I did something I hadn't in years. I applied for a job in another city, not because I was running, but because I was finally free. No more, you have to stay close to home. Who will take care of them if you leave? I started reconnecting with friends I hadn't seen in years. People I'd drifted from because I was always too busy with family drama. And the most surprising thing, some of them saw my post online. They wrote just to say, We're proud of you. That was brave. No one asked for money. No one blamed me. No one tried to twist things around. Just support. Simple, honest, pure. Someone asked, Don't you regret it? I thought for a second and said, I only regret not doing it sooner. I thought that was the end, and in a way it was. But with people like them, nothing ends cleanly, especially when they start feeling the consequences of your absence. The first few weeks after Thanksgiving were quiet, blissfully, eerily quiet. No calls, no guilt, just peace. Until Christmas hit. On December 22nd, I got a message from Mom. Just a photo. Their living room, stockings, a half-decorated tree, and in the middle a big, empty space where gifts usually sat. The caption, It's not the same without you. Ellie keeps asking why Uncle isn't coming this year. I stared at it for a long time. No apology, no accountability, just the same manipulative undertone. Look what you've done. Look who you've hurt. I didn't reply. On December 23rd, Natalie called. I didn't pick up. Then a text came. I know I messed up, but you don't have to punish everyone. Come for Ellie. She misses you. 2 minutes later. By the way, Mom and Dad are behind on the mortgage. I know you don't care, but the bank called today. Thought you'd want to know." There it was. The ask. Always wrapped in a blanket of guilt, cloaked in fake softness, but always ending in the same demand. I blocked the number. On December 24th, another message. This time from Dad. "You made your point. We get it. But enough. We need help. We're still your blood." That night, I sat by my fireplace with a glass of wine. I looked around my small apartment. No tree, no noise. Just me and the silence they always said would destroy me. And for the first time in my life, I was thankful for that silence. But it didn't stop. In January, I got a call from an unknown number. I answered out of habit. "Is this Daniel?" a man's voice asked. "Yes." "Who's this?" "My name's Mark," he said. "I'm calling on behalf of your father. He mentioned you're the primary manager of the family estate." I froze. "I stepped down from that role 2 months ago," I said. "It's been formalized through the family lawyer. My name's off everything." The man paused. "I see. Your father said he couldn't reach you directly and asked me to explore options. They're in a tough spot." Of course they were. Natalie and my parents had run out of options. The ATM was closed, the safety net was gone. Now they were scrambling. I hung up without another word. But the final straw came in February. I got an envelope in the mail. Handwritten. No return address, but I recognized Mom's handwriting immediately. Inside, a 3-page letter. The first page, regret. "We said it in anger. You've always been the strong one. We didn't realize how much we leaned on you." The second page, guilt. "Your father's health isn't good. Natalie's all alone now. We're worried about Ellie. It's been hard on her." The third page, the hook. "We're selling the house, but the mortgage is underwater. We need a little help to get through this. We won't ask again after this. Please, Daniel, do it for Dad. For the family." I sat with the letter. Let myself feel everything they wanted me to feel. The weight, the responsibility, the pang of duty, the aching need to fix what's broken. Then I folded the letter, stood up, walked to the kitchen, and threw it in the trash. The truth is, they weren't asking for help. They were asking for access again. They didn't want me in the family. They wanted the version of me that doesn't say no. The one who paid silently, sacrificed silently, suffered silently. But that version of me is gone. I'm not their scapegoat, not their golden goose, not the duct tape holding a crumbling house together. I'm done. And the scariest thing for them? I'm doing just fine without them. I got the new job, moved to a new city, a bigger apartment, a fresh start. I started volunteering on weekends. Not because someone needed me, but because I wanted to. I built a life where no one calls me at 11 p.m. to cover a mistake they won't admit, where I'm not punished for independence, where kindness isn't used as leverage. I don't regret helping them, but I regret not stopping sooner. Want to know what real peace is? It's not being surrounded by family. It's being free from people who only call you family when they need something. Update. It's been a few months. I didn't think this post would get attention. Honestly, I just needed to say it, to put it somewhere. But I've read every comment. The people who wrote, "You're brave. They don't deserve you." And, "Thank you." I didn't know how much I needed to hear that until I did. And the few who asked, what if they change? I've asked myself the same thing. It's been a few months. They haven't changed. After I cut them off, after the folder, the screaming, the silence, and the letters, I thought maybe someone would get it. That they'd reflect, say, "I'm sorry." They didn't. First, they went quiet, Then they got sneaky, then desperate, and then they showed their ugliness again. But me, I got free. Since then, I've moved to a new place, found a job that doesn't keep me up at night, started therapy, real therapy, the kind where you stop fixing everyone around you and learn to be yourself. I cook for myself now, sleep better, walk more, don't flinch when the phone rings. Yes, I think about Ellie sometimes, about what she's being taught, what she'll grow up thinking is normal. But I also know I set an example of someone who finally said, enough. A few days ago, I got another letter, handwritten, from Mom. 3 words. We're still family. No context, no apology, no change, just the same old hook. And for the first time, I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just nothing. I threw it out and went to make dinner. So I came back here because this place gave me clarity I didn't expect. Strangers saw me better than my own blood. And here's what I want to ask. Did I do the right thing? Cutting them off? Dropping that weight? Saying no and meaning it? Was I too cold? Or was I just finally tired of being the only one holding it all together? I don't know. But I do know one thing. For the first time in my life, I'm not surviving. I'm living. Thanks for reading. Still listening?